UFC Vegas 80 just recently wrapped up, and I'm going to recap the entire card. I'll start with the first fight of the night and work my way up to the main event of the evening. Make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn the post notifications on and make sure to share the video as well. And let's jump right into things. First fight on the card, it was JJ Aldrich versus Montana De La Rosa. JJ Aldrich outworked for De La Rosa. She deserved the decision in the end. As I'm watching it live, I think I was mesmerized by the fact De La Rosa was getting cracked on the feet, didn't really offer any grappling threat. I thought she'd look significantly better against JJ Aldrich. I was definitely on the De La Rosa side. I thought she would win. And the fact that she got clearly outworked by Aldrich, I think it's credit to Aldrich's improvements in the game and, getting a confidence booster win over Na Liang, now taking on Montana De La Rosa, getting it done pretty cleanly, 31 at 125. I mean, the ceiling is high for JJ Aldrich. She's still young enough where she could work her way to, the upper echelon of the weight class, and beating De La Rosa, who's like, a solid, decent level fighter inside of the women's flyweight division. I'm curious to see what Aldrich does from here. So, good win for Aldrich. She beats De La Rosa. But yeah, I definitely was a bit surprised in the first fight. Next fight on the card, it's Aoriqileng and Johnny Munoz Jr. Aoriqileng had the biggest difference maker, and that is the fact that he did more damage. His power in his hands, evident power. And then you take into the fact that Munoz had some early grappling success, but it wasn't that much. It wasn't throughout more than really just the first round. And then you look at Aori later in the fight, getting on top in his own right, and then throwing hard punches and hurting Johnny Munoz Jr. I believe he dropped him at one point. His hands looked extremely heavy. I thought Aoriqileng ultimate difference maker would be his punching power. Johnny Munoz just doesn't really have the striking to deal with somebody like an Aori who is very sound in defensive grappling and, can work offensive grappling in his own right. Munoz is like a guy where he doesn't have exceptional wrestling. He doesn't have, I don't want to say decent. He has decent hands, decent stand-up, I should say, right? But what he has that's well is his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but it just seems as though those other tools being just not that sharp really make him limited, specifically in matchups with guys that have power that are decently well-rounded. He's going to find himself in trouble in a lot of the matchups. Aori gets to win by decision, but still shows the heavy hands, and that was a pretty sick win for Aoriqileng. Next fight. Vanessa Demopoulos, Kanako, Murata. So live, I scored this fight for Murata. I know some will say, oh, but Vanessa was doing damage from bottom position. She still was getting controlled for a significant amount of time in the fight. And at the end of it, I thought Murata clearly deserved the decision. A 29-28, a 30-27. Either of those made a lot of sense to me. Neither would have been shocking. I feel like Vanessa Demopoulos, though, I got to give credit where credit is due, was very active from the bottom. Didn't let Kanako Murata easily pass. And, she was able to stifle the, offensive grappling game from top by Kanako Murata. She, granted, wasn't able, besides really one time, to threaten with any submissions of any kind. But Vanessa Demopoulos, even in a win that is, on the semi-controversial side, it was a rather compelling performance. And, the reason I'm not going to be overly angry about it is just simply for the fact that Kanako Murata got comfortable sitting in top position and not really doing much damage when in 2023 MMA, the word is already out. We all know this. Damage trumps all. Damage over it all, right? So, Demopoulos probably still lost the fight even to this modern scoring with my card, but I can kind of see the argument towards giving her it being active from the bottom. Murata didn't do enough to convincingly win. You leave it in the hands of the judges, it's a close fight. It can go either way. Congrats to Vanessa Demopoulos. Next fight, Nate Maness versus Mateus Mendonça. Can we talk about Nate Maness shutting everybody up, including me? And I know Nate Maness. I interviewed him back, when the channel first started. I like Nate a lot. And Nate, I apologize for not picking against you. I need to fucking stop doubting my guy. I normally pick him, and then next thing you know it, I'm like, oh, shoot their box, Diego Lima. This kid can maybe bring it to him. No. Nate Maness beat the shit out of him as Mendonça was desperately looking for different leg locks and, different heel hooks, any type of leg submissions. That's what Mendonça was looking for. Calf slicer, I believe, at one point. And Nate Maness was dropping hammers on his face, and he got a sick TKO win from top position. He put out Mendonça, he hit him again, and he brought him back to life, and he keep pounding him out. Nate Maness is a dog, and I like the Nate Maness style. He's heavy-handed, he's fast. He's got a really good frame for 125 pounds. At 5'10", 72-inch reach. The reach is not crazy long because he's not like super broad, but he has long arms. I think Nate Maness is a really fun guy to watch at 125 pounds. He's got a lot of good matchups on the horizon in the future. So shout out to Nate Maness for a sick W. Mendonça, bit too young, and honestly, a bit too willing to attack legs. When shots are coming down, sometimes you got to give up on that onslaught, and he didn't seem to have a different game plan when it got into the grappling. He wasn't comfortable there, and Nate Maness made him pay and whooped his ass from top. Sick win for Nate. Next fight, featured prelim, ladies. Karolina Kowalkiewicz versus Diana Belbiţă. Kowalkiewicz deservingly got the decision nod over Diana Belbiţă. I got to tell you, man, 4 fights in a row for Kowalkiewicz, who talked about, some, tragic circumstances in her personal life leading into this fight. Diana Belbiţă is tough, and she threw some hard shots. She was giving it a whirl, but like Karolina Kowalkiewicz was just too poised and precise. Even in the stand-up, she's landing shots, at times mixing in takedowns, out-dogging her. Belbiţă really didn't have an answer. She swelled up her eye. Diana Belbiţă's eye looked beat up, and I think that Karolina Kowalkiewicz deserves a ton of respect for turning her career around and now really running up this 4-fight win streak later on in her career. I'm curious what the UFC does with her. Do we try and give Karolina a chance to break back into the upper echelon of the women's strawweight division? Or are we going to continue to give her feeder matchups like decent girls outside of the top that she has a fair chance of beating? No matter what, I'm very impressed by Karolina Kowalkiewicz. And whatever she does going forward from here, mad respect to her, because I was happy to see her get a win. Even though, I won't lie to you, I did pick Diana Belbiţă. I thought she was a live dog, and I was proven very wrong. Next fight on the card, it's the main card. Make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new, subscribe. It's time to brag. Bill Algeo, Alexander Hernandez. Lock of the week was Bill Algeo, and what did I say, man? He came through. He came through for us. Now, he pulled off a decision, and Alexander Hernandez's gas tank actually looked a lot better than I anticipated it to look at 145 pounds. Bill Algeo, though, we got to give mad respect to him because he was striking with Hernandez. I feel like his kickboxing is underrated. He's got very nasty kicks. He stunned Hernandez a couple of times. He was always firing shots back. His output and volume was real. Yeah, Bill Algeo's an interesting player. 34, right? So I don't want to say he's old, right? But he's in that prime time is now for Bill Algeo. And he gets a big W over Alexander Hernandez, then called out Billy Q after, who said December. Yes, please. Billy Q versus Bill Algeo is a fight, to me, makes sense. I think we booked that fight. I'm actually very intrigued to see how those two would face off with one another. Alexander Hernandez, his gas tank looked good, so I guess he can stick around at 145. I think it's just Bill Algeo's really solid. Algeo is one of those underappreciated skilled fighters. He's got a good game. It's not flashy. It doesn't look crazy. It looks even awkward at times. So people underestimate the skill set. Hey, lock of the week hit, and it was an underdog this week. That's 7 lock of the weeks in a row, guys. 7 in a row. How incredible is that, huh? Amazing work. Next fight, Drew Dober versus Aoriqileng. So this matchup here, Drew Dober beat the hell out of Aoriqileng. He put out a very hard, fast pace towards Ricky, and I think Glenn just really didn't know how to deal with it with the heavy hands. He was kind of running from Dober. At one point, they went to the ground. It looked like it was almost all over, and then Glenn is holding the glove for dear life. Hey, veteran savvy tactics. I don't blame him. He was outgunned, though. Drew Dober looked on fire. Drew Dober is a badass When he's on point, when his pressure game is there, when he's a little bit more cautious, the dude can do serious damage. And he ran over Rick Glenn with relative ease. I still think Drew Dober's an interesting face at 155 pounds. And there are loads of fun fights for Drew Dober heading into 2024. Like, I love the style. It's fan-friendly, entertaining. I'd say he's got a pretty decent personality to him. He's Drew Dober, man. He's got the Drew Dober vibe. He is who he is. And I think that Drew Dober moving forward, big things are coming. I got to wipe my nose, man. Nose is leaking out over here. Oh. Drew Dober, great performance. Sick finish of Ricky Glenn. Put it on him, beat him up, and stopped him just over the halfway through the first round mark at 236. Impressive. Next fight, Joaquin Buckley, Alex Morono. Joaquin Buckley beat him up for 3 rounds. Out athleticism. Is that the right word? Joaquin Buckley outdogged him, but like his athleticism was far superior, and it was evident that he was able to outmuscle Alex Morono in positions where I don't think Alex Morono is normally outmuscled like that against a lot of guys at 170. So I think you got to start to consider the fact that Buckley has now entered in his prime, and he's actually pretty good. I feel like he could work towards a big fight at 170 pounds. He's in the best shape we've ever seen him. He landed big punches on Alex Morono, had Morono running away from him. They had a good scrap, but Buckley's power was an ultimate difference maker. His speed and athleticism was there, and he was touching Morono up, and he was able to out-wrestle him early in the fight. Fucking came out like a spear takedown, flying out, trying to show his dominance on Morono early on. I was very impressed by Buckley. So, great win for Joaquin Buckley, who beats Alex Morono. And I think that Buckley, moving on forward in his UFC career, I mean, he called for a main event. I don't know exactly what the logistics of that would be, but, like, I don't hate the idea of him fighting somebody ranked now. Can you imagine, like, Buckley versus even, like, an Ian Gary, or Buckley versus Jack Della even? I know Kevin Holland, beat Buckley at one point, but that was up a weight class, too, at 185. Buckley's in his own game right now, man. At 170, I like Buckley's skills, so I look forward to what's next for him. Still for Morono, he's a fan favorite, always. Co-main event, Joe Pyfer versus Abdul Razak Alhassan. Listen, Joe Pyfer was able to really put it on Abdul Razak Alhassan from the moment the fight started. He nearly got a standing arm triangle choke in the very opening stages of the fight. Ends up winning by arm triangle, this time in the second round, but he was outstriking Abdul Razak Alhassan, taking him down, looked strong as hell. I've always felt like when I heard Abdul's moving up to 85, I'm like, man, I think that he's a 70-pounder that has enough punching power where it's interesting for him to go up in weight, but against matchups with real 185-pounders with, I think, quality skill sets like a Joe Pyfer, the dude finds himself in serious trouble. I like what I saw from Pyfer. I like that Pyfer pulled this one out. He got the win, and I think that body bags, Joe Pyfer has got, I don't want to say endless potential, but like limitless potential right now. Good post-fight promo. Like, he's got the good All-American vibe. He works hard. He's a likable fighter. He's got good kickboxing. He's got dangerous submissions. He's athletic. He's physically strong. What the hell is there not to like right now? And he's got 2 big wins, beating Mearshart and now beating Abdul Razak Alhassan. You got to take notice of Joe Pyfer because he can do it all. And I think that he's like a new blood type 185-pound contender, and I can definitely see him working up to the rankings. I mean, I can imagine him crossing paths with Brandon Allen at some point. Brendan Allen at some point. I'm thinking of bare knuckle for a second. Joe Pyfer, sick win. Put it on Abdul Razak Alhassan, strangles him, and I think is working his way up nicely in the rankings to fun matchups heading into 2024. I like it a lot. And maybe he'll turn it around quick and come back in December. I think he said he wants to fight at the Apex, right? Says bring it to Vegas, or is that Bobby Green? Either or, bring him back in December if he's able and willing, because I like Joe Pyfer's style. Sick W. Main event of the evening. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Holy hell. Holy hell. Bobby Green with the straight left hand, like into a stance switch, followed by a powerful right hand as Grant Dawson fell down, gets a knockout in the opening stages of the fight. 33-second KO. Bobby Green dropped Dawson way before that, and Dawson was finished. He was so rocked, and the right hand lands, boom, that was on the ground, and he's just covering up, and Bobby Green's dropping hammers on him. Fight is over. Game, set, match. 33 seconds in as a massive plus 350 underdog. Very few people believed in Bobby Green, and I'll say I was included. 8% of Tapology picked Bobby Green to win, and then you think about him knocking out Grant Dawson, who's supposed to be this next impressive wrestling specimen. No, the opposite happens. Bobby Green puts himself in a spot where he can maybe call his shot and get a big fight. Nobody's hating Conor McGregor, Bobby Green, if Bobby Green can get a certain win. Do they throw on Michael Chandler? Are we looking for Bobby Green money fights? Because he's got the energy for it. He's got the aura. Now, I know my boy Hanato Moicano just called out Bobby Green, and obviously he's boys with Grant Dawson, wants to like avenge his brother. I get it. I don't hate the idea of that fight either, but I think Bobby Green might be kind of getting that fast-track treatment, especially because he's 37, into a high-profile matchup, man, with a big name. He just beat Tony Ferguson. He ran over Grant Dawson. He did the UFC a massive favor, fighting Islam Makhachev on very short notice. He's a guy that everybody wants to see fight. He's got a great personality. He just won a massive upset main event. His stock could not be higher right now. Listen, if Conor McGregor is unsure of a comeback, Bobby Green versus Michael Chandler is interesting, just to say that straight up. For Grant Dawson, he's 29, he's still got time, and he just got caught with a perfect shot by a super experienced veteran. I don't think we can say Grant Dawson has no future in this division. We just simply saw him get clobbered by a very proficient striker with an unorthodox boxing style and extremely quick hands and crazy precision, and probably like the best performance of recent memory for Bobby Green, because that was absolutely flawless with a first-round knockout in 33 seconds of Grant Dawson. Bobby Green deserves something major. He does. I want to see him in something major. I like the Michael Chandler idea. I won't lie to you. McGregor sweepstakes fight. Winner of that fight gets McGregor. Oh, but Chandler was already supposed to be in the spot. Does he want to sit out and wait? Maybe he's got to get through Bobby Green, which is no easy ask. But I also don't think it's impossible for him to get through Bobby Green either. So I like Bobby getting some big names, some big fights, some big paychecks, especially at 37 years of age. I can't wait to see what's next. And for Grant Dawson, don't write him off just yet. I still think he's got a lot of time to blossom, assuming a fight outside the rankings will be next for him. And he just got caught with a beautiful shot by a very skilled striker who's extremely proficient in his overall martial arts game. Shout out Bobby Green for a sick W. Guys, let's review the predictions, all right? I want to look at how did the picks end up holding up. Lost in the main event, won in the co-main event with Joe Pyfer, won with Buckley over Morono, won with Dober over Glenn, won with Algeo over Hernandez. So 4-1 on the main card. On the prelims, I lost with De La Rosa to Aldrich. I won with Aoriqileng to Munoz. I lost with Murata Demopoulos, even though I did think, it should have went the way of Murata. I lost with Mendonça and Maness. Granted, I said all week I'm rooting for Nate Maness regardless of the pick, and there was no bet on that, Mendonça side. Then I lost with Belbiţă over Kowalkiewicz. So what do we go? 1-4 on the prelims, which really probably easily could have been 2-3. And then we went, 4-1 on the main card. So 1-4 plus 4-1 brings us to a 5-5 night. Unfortunately, we were breaking even on this card at 5-5. Would have been 6-4 if the Murata decision went our way. But we can't fucking go kicking at, straws or picking at straws. You know the metaphor I'm looking for. Unfortunately, too, we lost Lins versus Cutelaba, which, that would be a difference maker that would have made it, unable for me to break even. That was the 11th fight on the card. Instead, we only got 10. I loved it, though. UFC Vegas 80, lock of the week hits, which I'm very happy about. That makes 7 in a row. Yeah, 5-5 on the official predictions, but the fact I got 7 locks in a row, I feel excited as hell for what's coming, guys. I hope you enjoyed the week's worth of content. I hope you guys enjoyed the fight companion with your boy. It's been a pleasure chatting it up with my people. I love each and every one of you. Thank you guys all for the support. And yeah, thanks to the love and the live stream Fight Companion hyping me up and shit. And if you haven't checked out that Fight Companion, you watch the intro of it, the first 5-10 minutes. I promise you'll be thoroughly entertained. And, you know, the answer to your question about why I'm wearing shades will be answered in detail. So much love, my people. Smash the likes. If you're new, subscribe. Let me know what you thought in the comments. And if you have nothing to say in those comments, just drop a W in the chat to boost the algorithm for your boy. And if you don't have the post notifications turned on, turn them on. Don't leave them on personalized. Put them on all so you don't miss a video. Thank you guys for tuning in. And I'll see you all in the next one. Peace, everybody.